dedicated her life to helping her community, passed away over the weekend.
And today, Northern News Now's Cara Cobb spoke with the family of Portia Johnson, hearing how her legacy will live on forever.
Up as we cut the ribbon.
Ribbon cuttings are often a form of celebration. But this ribbon cutting Tuesday afternoon was a somber one, honoring the life of Portia Johnson.
She's not only just a superwoman with the big S on her chest, she's like superwoman.
Johnson spent 60 years serving the Duluth community as an activist, educator, and mom of 4. Sadly, she passed Sunday. But her youngest son, Dalen Johnson, says her legacy won't be forgotten.
She was actually someone who fought for everybody.
From working as the president of the NAACP to helping co-found the Institute for African American Awareness at the Central Hillside Center, her impact on the city was so great, she had a road named after her. Portia Johnson Drive. In 2007, Portia Johnson Drive was extended from South Blackman Avenue to Central High Drive. While a ribbon cutting didn't happen back then, Johnson's friend of 42 years, Henry Banks, was determined to make sure there would be one.
She is an incredible human.
And it just so happened to be days after her passing, using the event to highlight Johnson's life.
Community service really meant community and giving back as much as she could of herself to the community. She wasn't just about advocating just solely for black students and black families. She advocated for anyone in need.
It raises her status, in my eyes, higher.
In Duluth, Cara Cobb, Northern News Now.
Cara, thank you. A memorial service will be held for Johnson this coming Monday at Peace United Church of Christ.